Hello and welcome to Taekwondo practitioners, instructors and Taekwondo enthusiasts from all over the world, and in particular to any of the ITF officials, grandmasters and masters who've chosen to be present here for the presentations on this 24-hour celebration of the anniversary of Taekwondo's creation on the 11th of April 1955 by General Choi Hung-hai. This is our 70th anniversary, quite a celebration, quite a landmark, and we've chosen to celebrate that as a community by having a 24-hour online marathon, if you like, of Taekwondo presentations, looking at Taekwondo's past, present and perhaps into the future, different perspectives from all aspects of Taekwondo life. So everything from the competition patterns, sparring, self-defense, special technique, teaching of children, youths, adults, older adults, and particularly relevant as this topic covers the area of inclusion of athletes with additional needs or with disability. We are celebrating 24 hours, one day, or an entirety of a lifetime spent dedicated to the pursuit of the ideals of Taekwondo. So that would be the personal development, physical development, the pursuit of a better world. And with that in mind, we have 24 patterns, one for each hour. This hour is our 11th hour, and so the pattern that we'll show this hour is Po-un. So join me in having a look at a rather lovely performance of pattern Po-un. So huge thank you to Mats Lind and Bergen Taekwondo Club for taking the time to prepare the video for us so we can enjoy in this 11th hour, the 11th pattern, Po-un Tul. And across these 24 hours, you can expect to see far more demonstrations, of course, all of the patterns until Tong Il, as well as a whole range of topics. So please check the schedule on the ITF website and you'll be able to see what's coming up and what's ahead. This hour we have a very special guest who is back with us for he had an unexpected appearance earlier today, but he will be back with us for another appearance now, but with his planned topic. So in this case I'd like to welcome Master John McIlvaney from Scotland, who has lost Sabun Imstruan McCallum, who's not there anymore, but who will be delivering a presentation for us around the area of adapted Taekwondo and inclusion of athletes with additional needs into our martial art. So I don't think I need to say anything else. I think you're more than happy to take everything there from yourselves. I will step back and leave you in the limelight. Best of luck, John.
Thank you again for that introduction, Master Byrne. Hi everyone, sorry I'm back again. You'll have to endure me. In the previous 2 hours, I had actually hoped that my session was going to time it with my adapted classes. As usual, I mistimed it. So I've just taken 2 adapted classes, one for younger kids and one for older kids. And joining me at the table, okay, well, to my left is Andrew, okay, and to my right is Sophie. Now, before we start, can anybody tell me Sophie's additional support needs? And I'm going to give you a hint with Andrew's, and Andrew's additional support needs. Okay, I don't know if you can see. So I'm looking for someone just to interject and give us an idea of what you think. And this is just a little test. Okay, so we've got Andrew here. Say hi, Andrew. Oh, you may have noticed him in the last European Championships. And Sophie is a recent addition to Taekwondo. She's a yellow belt, as you can see. From that picture, can anybody give me a comment on what they think the additional support needs may be. Okay, yeah, I'll give you a chance. They both have a condition called cerebral palsy. Okay, Andrew, how long have you been training?
It's too long, but
too long.
I think about, I'm gonna say 9.
9 years. Okay, which belt are you?
I'm red belt, black tag.
Okay.
Just about to
Excellent.
do black belt.
And Sophie, how long have you been training?
I think 1 year.
1 year. And which grade are you?
I'm a yellow belt.
Yellow belt. Okay, excellent. Okay. So I'll give it away. Okay. Andrew and Sophie both suffer from cerebral palsy. Okay. Which is just a multitude of different conditions that affect fine motor skills and stuff like that, and movement in general. Andrew is not ambulant, he's a chair user. And you'll all have seen from last year his demonstration at the Europeans. So Andrew competes on his knees, okay? Now I'm in my office of my gym. Sophie, slightly different. Can you stand up, Sophie? So Sophie is ambulant. Okay, but just part of your additional support need is are you wearing splints at the moment?
Yeah, I wear splints.
Right. What else do you use to help with your mobility?
Well, I also have a wheelchair, but I'm not in it all the time.
So when I first met Sophie, she was a chair user, or just some of the time.
Yeah.
But in a year, we've managed to get her out that chair now, and she's a lot more ambulant. Okay. Andrew, just due to the nature of the severity of his condition in the lower limbs, he's always in the chair, but Andrew loves to get out the chair and do patterns on his knees. Okay, I'll give you a little demonstration of that in a little while. Okay. First of all, the word inclusion and adapted didn't used to ring well with me, because different countries all use different terminology, etc., for additional support needs. Okay, it came from originally, you would say, disabled, etc., etc. So we've learned through education and betterment that there's far more conditions can be described in a better way, in a better manner. Okay, when I was a young kid, my next door neighbour had cephalitis, he had spina bifida, and he was partially blind. So I grew up helping and befriending Andrew for all these years and learning to understand his conditions, etc. And it was no problem to interact and become his friend. So my goal was then, I can help anybody with Taekwondo. I think at first, through an elite eye, you think, oh, well, Taekwondo's not for everyone. You know, it's 70% kicking, etc., etc. I used to think like that. One time in my gym 20 years ago, there was a disabled audit, and they said, you haven't got a disabled toilet, you need a ramp, and I said then, guys, it's Taekwondo, it's 70% kicking. You know, oh my goodness. And after a lot of years, I've changed my mind. Gillian and I were invited along to a special needs school. Livingston's got great schools, Cedar Bank, etc., Pinewood, lots of good facilities. And we went along, and the teacher said they were struggling to get people with activities to come along just to keep the kids' attention up, etc., give them something different. Most sports clubs, football, rugby, tennis, you name it, they would go in and last 2 days. We went along, and we've been there ever since, because the kids just loved the martial arts. Then one teacher says, oh, we shouldn't be teaching kids kicking and punching. And I said, well, we're not really. We're teaching fine motor skill, cross motor function. You know, we're helping them coordinate a lot better. We're helping them create concentration and focus. And this was due mainly to the fact that we'd introduced a lot of kids programs. Taekwondo can be, I'll use the B word, boring for younger kids. If you're just trying to teach mainstream Taekwondo nowadays, it can sometimes be a chore. So we came up with went to different martial art promotions, etc. And we learned Natma, different Maya, you name it. And we learned a lot of different games, so that how we kept the kids' attention was games, using different things in the gym, etc. So Jill and I just adapted that and used it in our classes. Then we used it in our ASN classes. So I think for the last 15 years, we've had a full-time ASN class. So that word adapted, okay? Everybody adapts. When I enter my dojang, I adapt. When I'm teaching, I'm adapting to the people that are there first and foremost. So I'll tailor the class to the individuals that are there. I tend not to pre-plan classes. I just make it up as I go, again, based on who's there and their abilities. Okay. So I've been doing that now for all my life. I'm teaching for 45 years now. And again, thanks to Master Leo and other people around the world, I've now been given the platforms, etc., to give us a little bit more exposure. And I hope at the up and coming European Championships in Sarajevo, you'll see another little demonstration. And again, we're moving forwards to our goal, which is to have an inclusive and adapted division at a high level, to just give these chaps and the exposure they deserve. Okay, Taekwondo, again, 70 years is for everyone. I'd like to think it was. I sat my fourth degree in 1999, and my thesis was about making Taekwondo for everyone. It's actually in the Human Weapon magazine. I don't know if these are familiar. Have you ever seen the Human Weapon magazine? It used to be published from Vienna. Honourable Grandmaster McIlvaney's wife was the editor. So in 99, my article was, is Taekwondo for everyone? Okay, as I say, I've taught forever. I've taught high-end, elite Taekwondo. I've got world and European medalists within our gym, etc. But I always felt something was missing, and I feel really great now that Taekwondo is becoming for everyone. Okay, I understand around the world, you've got Master Barry, you've got Helen in Ireland, and other people in Ireland doing a great job. You know, I think everyone around Norway, the Gunnar, etc., they're doing a brilliant job on working with additional support needs. I'm wondering, I don't even know if Torfin's watching or if he's online, but you'll see him in April and at the Europeans. Okay. How do we approach it? How do you go about it first? You have to change your mind. Okay. So I'm going to ask everyone present. I'll adapt means change. So can everyone present fold their arms? Okay. Unfold them. Fold them. Unfold them. Fold them. Unfold them. Fold them again round the other way. Go. Again. Go. Again. Go. So we were conditioned to fold our arms a certain way, but the minute I said let's change that and fold them the other way, it took you a couple of attempts and you managed it, and that shows you how easy change is. I dare say most of you changed your underwear this morning, I hope. You've changed your hairstyles. Yeah, I hope. The one thing that's important and that we have to really work on is we change our minds, whether that's just to be a better mind, you know, or change a mind to help us get to a better place, etc. Okay, so don't be frightened to change your outlook, change your ideas. Again, Taekwondo is for everyone. It's quite a daunting task sometimes starting an additional sport needs class, but once you do it, trust me, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my entire life. Okay, so change your minds and don't be frightened. Okay, we say the word human beings, so I want you to think about that and put with the S at the end, and I want you to take the S and put it in the middle, and we're actually humans being, which is I feel a much better way to think about existence. So again, I've got a little human next to me and another, well, he's getting bigger right enough, human next to me. What age are you now, Andrew?
I'm 16 years old.
16, oh my goodness. What age are you, Sophie?
11.
11, okay. So these youngsters, they might have never met General Choi, etc., but they know of him, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Just say yes, Sophie.
Yeah.
You're just agreeing with me, aren't you? So, but I think the General will be proud seeing now that the Taekwondo is reaching out there and it is becoming for everyone. Okay, it couldn't have been fulfilled in his lifetime, but he left us the dreams, and we certainly put them into practice, and we're working in that reality now. Okay, so the first thing, change your mind. If you get an opportunity, there's plenty of local schools in your areas, etc., where you can go in and you'll make these guys days. If not, you'll make their whole years just by giving them some Taekwondo. Okay. Andrew might not be able to stand up and kick, but he still kicks to the best of his ability. Sophie can't do the splits, but she still kicks to the best of her ability. And if we can get that out of our students, regardless of their support needs, every class, that we get the best version of them and the best out of their ability, we're doing a good job. I'm amazed at how the people love the additional support needs class. Again, it might not sound inclusive, but what we do, and Sophie's testament to that, is Sophie takes part in our mainstream class. We have other guys who are maybe a little bit on the spectrum, they take part also in the mainstream class. Sophie does both, which is great. Okay, Andrew likes this class, so he comes to this class. So again, we're making it for everybody by giving them that platform, giving them that area in which they can come forwards and still practice Taekwondo, their skills, etc. Okay. Please feel free to ask any questions during the session. I wanted it to be a little bit more interactive. I don't want you all to switch your screens off and hide.
Do you have a question there on behalf of Helen from Ireland? How do you judge a pattern for adaptive Taekwondo?
How do we judge the patterns for adaptive Taekwondo? Okay. Can I pick that up at the end on rules?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. I've got it written down. Don't worry, I'll not forget. Okay. So let's talk about different adapted needs. Physical, from birth. Okay. Degenerative. I could go on forever. DS, Down syndrome. Okay, I've just had a 52-year-old woman training and with Down syndrome. She's due to go for a black belt, so I've been training for 10 years. I'm not asking you to be doctors, but what you must first of all do is understand the conditions. Once you've got a slight understanding, it's easier then to interact and teach. So I know a little bit about cerebral palsy, etc. Okay, I know a little bit about Down syndrome. I do not wish to be a doctor. Remember, I'm a Taekwondo instructor, so I'm here to give my guys Taekwondo. But prior to that, I must understand everything. So we always do a trial with additional support needs. I'll go into the spectrum in a little bit, but that way you'll get a physical understanding of the capabilities of that individual. So when Andrew came in, he was in a chair. We tried it in the chair, doing some moves and stuff. It was, and he would always say, "I want to go on my knees again." So it took us a little while to work out where Andrew wanted to be, but yeah, we ended up on the knees. Sophie was the same. If always speak to the parents, okay, you get an understanding, or carers of the conditions, and then just take it from there. Just enjoy the teaching Taekwondo, because it's great fun. Is that right?
It is, definitely.
You sure?
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Sophie really enjoys it. Andrew's not so sure, I don't think. So once, as an instructor, you have to be confident and make sure you understand that it's your classroom. I always say that's my space, but you have to understand the limits, and where you can. You also have to be educated and know where you're going to help and take these people's further. Okay. So understanding conditions is quite easy. I didn't really know much about physical disabilities, etc. And until I met Andrew, my neighbour, and then I've got a nephew who was Down syndrome. So I started to understand that. I also had a cousin who was severely epileptic. So if someone who fits in your class, etc., you have to know how to deal with that and deal with it quickly and positively. Again, it might not be for everyone, but I would say please expose yourselves to that. Okay. Let's ask Andrew. Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about your Taekwondo and what challenges you faced?
Well, Taekwondo, as I said, like at the European Championships, I was thinking about just there. We push our boundaries, and that's all I remember. But going back to the European Championships, it was like, oh my God, there's 1,000 people there watching me, eyes open. And what I said in the message was, we pushed our boundaries. I mean, Taekwondo is for everyone. And sometimes there are people in life who don't get the experience of this, and they don't have the ability to take part in this opportunity. So we push our boundaries, of course. And when I first met John, I was kind of like nervous about like doing Taekwondo and all that, because obviously I was a good puncher, but I wasn't a good kicker. But when I got to now, I got improved. So I think Taekwondo is like, it's for everybody, and as long as you push your boundaries, that's all we can. All Taekwondo can ask of you, just push your boundaries and never say to yourself that I'm gonna let go of Taekwondo. Yeah. Never go out.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, can you move back a little bit?
Right.
Look, I mean, this is simple, guys. I want to make it interactive now. The majority is are sitting down, yeah? I hope so. Right, so sit in your chair, okay? And now, can you do Chunji in your chair? Okay. Go.
Try.
Better. Sure. So give them a round of applause, guys. I know they can't see us, but we take so much for granted. That was Andrew. He doesn't like doing it in the chair. Andrew would rather probably be on the floor now, am I right?
It's difficult to move around.
So I made Andrew adapt here. Okay. Remember, adapting is just simply changing for the benefit and overcoming. Okay. So Andrew's going to go now, is that right?
I am there.
Right. See you later, bud. Take care. Everybody say bye. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. And again, when you're sitting in your chair and you try to do a pattern, it's difficult. It's not easy. But you've got to understand these guys' perspectives, and then you'll find it really easy. Okay, really easy to involve in your class additional support needs. Now, I know most of you have got your screens switched off. Okay, but can everybody switch your screen off or close their eyes? I know you can cheat, but try it. So we've got a blind woman training with us. So now you can only hear my voice and you're dealing and listening. All your other senses tend to heighten. Torfin, the chap you'll see in the Europeans, was sighted, so he's now unsighted. So his brain and memory, he can, if I say, he understands what a punch is, what it looks like, etc. But if you've got someone who has been unsighted from birth, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more hands-on. But remember, it's all about communication. And then please, no, be careful touching, etc. But it's a little bit more hands-on when you're dealing with people who are sighted. You can only imagine what they haven't seen. And being in that perspective. So everybody close your eyes and now try Chunji with your eyes closed. Again, this is an exercise I do a lot in class, mainstream class. I make the students close their eyes to make this. It's about understanding your stance dimensions and finishing and the T mark. It just shows you how much we rely on our eyes. And now it's an excellent participation for unsighted people. That vision could be tunnel vision. It can be many different things. The lady we had was she could see shapes and things, just not objects, but she could see outlines of different things in front of her, and that would change even with the sun coming in the classroom and different things. So you're always adapting and changing your class to suit. Okay. You can open your eyes again if you did have them shut, just in case. Otherwise, sit there for the rest of the session with your eyes closed, unless you put your camera on, or unless you've fallen asleep. So that my introduction to adapted, as I say, has all been self-taught, you name it. I now have a level 2 in autism. I've done at West of Scotland University, but everything I've learned has just been through trial and error. Take on the kids' games, adapt them. Okay, everything you're doing for kids, use it. We have 3-4 people ready for black belt now after 9 or 10 years training and adapted. We've already got 1 second degree training with cerebral palsy, who was told at the age of 5 he would never walk again. Okay, and again, he'll be there to demonstrate at the European Championships. His name's Lennon. So again, look out for us at the European Championships. And I'm always striving towards that, having a full-blown competition. And in Scotland, we've been doing competitions for 15 years or so, and we actually do sparring, patterns, and special technique. I know Ireland have been doing it for many years, slightly different format for their sparring and stuff. But through dialogue and working together, we had an adapted course in February in Scotland. We learned a lot from each other, and that's the important thing. The only silly question is the one you don't ask, and that goes for everything in life. But I'll let Sophie's having to get home as well. So, Sophie, can you stand up and come round that side for me? And this shows you the variance in cerebral palsy. So move back a little bit, pal. Okay. You can't see the splints, but Sophie's wearing splints. Okay, can you do? Oh, nice. Oh, they're camouflage. That's how I couldn't see them. Right. Thank you for showing them off so well. Right, Jabe. Right, Chunji, in your own time. See, Jake.
Chunji!
Barrow. And sure. Give her a round of applause for that. Just bring that seat over, Sophie, sit down. So again, Sophie didn't think, oh, Taekwondo, no good. Luckily, her father trains. But a lot of people thought, oh, I wouldn't be able to do Taekwondo. So Sophie's just got to tell us a little bit about how she feels included now and how she enjoys Taekwondo.
I think that Taekwondo has really helped with my mobilities, helped with my walking a lot as well. And in one of my other clubs, I do horse riding, and I've been doing it for quite a while now. I've been doing it for 9 years, I think, and I've noticed that it's really helped. My kicking that I've done in Taekwondo has really helped with the control of the horse, and controlling the horse.
And how do you feel as a do you feel more confident now in different things? How's Taekwondo helped you that way?
Well, it's made me like, at first when like you shout the name of the pattern at the end of the pattern. At first I did it quite quietly, but now I feel that I've gotten more confident in it.
And what's your favourite thing about doing Taekwondo now?
Do
you like sparring? Do you like the patterns? What do you like doing?
I quite like doing the patterns.
Yeah, your patterns are very good. Excellent. Thank you. Give a thumbs up to the guys. And stand up and take one. And I'll see you later. As I say, guys, I had hoped to have, I was actually going to have an adapted class running, but most of the guys have went home now with the first class. Your mum's in the gym, pal. So that's just an example of two students who probably thought Taekwondo wasn't ever going to be in their remit, but through our dedication and commitment, we're making that happen for these people. Okay, you can see the confidence in Sophie alone is just amazing. You know, her father trains as well now. We managed to get him back at Dobok. Again, family participation. Taekwondo is for everyone. Right, I'll talk about the competitions in a little bit, but I want to quickly cover that's like a physical disability. We have to look at the intellectual side of life as well, with neurodiversity, okay, etc. I once said to you, we've got a doctor, Jason, who trains, his son's autistic. And I said, is there a diagnosis, like, you know, what's the score with the autistic spectrum now? It's not that, okay? They describe it more like a circle, and it's all like a pie chart, okay? And then even on each side of the segment, there is difference from verbal, non-verbal, low functioning, high functioning. But the best thing Jason ever said to me was, when I said, you know, about the diagnosis medically, he says, if you've seen one autistic kid, you have seen one autistic kid. So that never any two kids are going to be the same. And you always think you've seen everything, but trust me, it changes constantly. The order that's required, the routines that can sometimes set in, and just interaction. When it comes to teaching kids on the spectrum, etc., and remember, sometimes they can be both physical and on the spectrum. Lennon, the young chap that's coming to the Euros, is on the spectrum and cerebral palsy. So you think what you take for granted in life, trust me, you'll see so many different versions. When it comes to the spectrum, again, I would recommend you interview the parents and you do a one-to-one first. That gives you an idea of the interactive skills of the kid. Unfortunately, a few kids on the spectrum end up in the violent bracket, but that's just frustration. But again, you have to think, is that something I can allow in my class? You need to watch if they're throwing stuff, breaking stuff, again, affecting other kids in the class, which we've had lots of different examples. My first class tonight, there's 5-6 kids in it, and they're usually all on the spectrum. One guy, Sai, he's very non-verbal and uncommunicative, so he doesn't talk, he doesn't really say much. A couple of weeks ago, we managed to get him to speak. He said, bridge, Sai, go through bridge. It's such a simple thing, and it's like a hallelujah moment, okay? And it makes everything so worthwhile. So persevere, do your best. Again, always go back to the kid mind. Like a lot of people trapped in these different conditions can have that childlike mind. Okay, sometimes they don't develop over certain ages and stuff, but you'll always find the kids' games work, and then you can adapt and change it to improve their experience as well and make sure that they're getting better. Remember the fine motor skills that you're working on, the coordination, the balance, the teamwork, the mental clarities, all that stuff is what you're doing. You're not teaching them fighting. We had an adult, John Paul, he's trained 15 years, he's still a yellow belt. He has no concept of what the belt is. So we didn't want to just keep putting him through the belts. But the one stability was he had his classes, even through Zoom. He was relentlessly sitting on that couch. Again, with COVID, everybody was doing Zoom. Sitting on that couch, and the minute he came on the screen and he seen us, it was like, wow. Okay, and John Paul's in full-time care. He's not allowed anywhere on his own, etc., because he has no concept of our reality. Okay, he lives in John Paul's world. But Taekwondo and the recognition that came was just unbelievable. And we've had him sparring, you name it. Awesome. Okay. Again, I love this question because I'll talk about the rules just now and the competitive side of it. And I've looked at Olympic classifications and other different things, and boom, and we're nowhere near ready for that level, I don't think. Again, I'm going to say this, and please don't shoot me down, but I'm finding rules, etc., especially pertaining to patterns, etc., are negative. It's all about, that walking stance is not right, boom, that block wasn't the right height, boom. When it comes to teaching these guys the patterns, you have to really adapt and let your guard down a little bit. Remember, we're not striving for perfection, and that is never in your life should you be striving for perfection. It's an unattainable goal. But you're getting the best out of these guys. So when it comes to judging them, we're not fortunate enough that we can have Down syndrome division, we can have physical disabilities division, we can have an intellectual division. Okay, we've all the other things to take into consideration are age, grade, okay, and skill set. So when it comes to adapted, I like to peel it back, and most of your judging should be based on indomitable spirit. So Andrew, I could put Andrew and Sophie up. Sophie's on her legs, but she's not making great stances. Andrew's on his knees, no stance to be seen. Proper kicking, not adhered to. So where do you judge that? Was the question. How do you judge that people are adapted to patterns? Again, indomitable spirit. Look who's trying the best, who looks focused. Again, get away from the negative judging. Let's be positive. That was good effort. That guy was focused more than the other guy, But again, because we're in the early stages of the adapted, I'd like to think that the rules, etc., are going to be dynamic and they're forever changing. So we need to have a dialogue with more people from more countries and have a chat about this sort of thing. Again, if you're at the Europeans, I'll give you an example of that. Is there any more questions? Does anybody want to interject a little bit? Everybody quiet on me.
There's a few comments. I wouldn't say that what we've got just there are questions exactly, but some examples of working with partially sighted or non-visual, and just the area of touch, so making sure that there's plenty of communication around how touch is going to work, seeking permission and understanding that the fact that you have permission, I suppose, on one occasion doesn't mean you have it on every occasion.
Say again?
I suppose the idea that you have touch with partially sighted or non-sighted individuals, that while you might have agreed what is okay on one occasion, that doesn't necessarily mean it's agreed forever.
Yeah,
you can just
excellent.
Touch.
So again, guys, it's just about communication. you don't walk up to a blind person and push them or shout at them. You know, you let them know you're coming forwards. A lot of the time I've seen it, even with people in a wheelchair, they'll go up and talk to the person pushing the chair rather than talking to the actual individual in the chair. Does that make sense? So, and again, if it's a non-verbal person, that's fine. Then take your gaze to the carer, or they should interject and help you. You know, or this is Andrew, or this blah blah blah. But don't underestimate your skills as an instructor, and please go and look out these schools and these community clubs, etc., that are doing everything to help these guys get participation, and you'll find that the uptake in the martial art is amazing. They will love it. Sport only lasts for so long, football, etc. It gets, but they're restricted. They've created their own rules and different things. But we found Taekwondo just helps the personal development a lot more. We have been at every institution in Scotland, and everybody has asked us back twice, 3 times. We're still going after all these years. Gillian teaches. We have a mainstream adults in the community class here. Was it ever? No. Thank you for that, Grandmaster Van Bergen. He's asked if there was never a conflict with a doctor in teaching Taekwondo. It's completely the opposite. A lot of our guys have came and says that the doctors have said to them, whatever it is you're doing, keep doing. Because the doctors are amazed at the progress and the development. Young Lennon's been through, I don't know how many operations, goodness knows, trying to get bones extended, etc. And the doctors are, at first were going, you'll never walk, you'll never do this. So he's the whole family trained with us. I love them to bits. And they kept training and training. I don't think the family were telling them about the Taekwondo as much, but then the doctors are going, what's going on? What's going on? And the development is unbelievable. So yeah, Master Leo says you should get a doctor's certificate of most people before they do training, etc. I let the parents deal with that. A lot of the time, again, the doctors have been overwhelmed and are so happy that they whatever they're doing, keep doing. Young Sophie, you've seen there, was in a chair. We've got her out that. She's working on her leg development. She's thinking about it. She's becoming more positive. Okay, and that is, that's the gold medal for me. Maybe I'll allude a little bit to the competition when it comes to sparring. Down syndrome people, except people with poor motor function, again, blind people, unsighted. Down syndrome can't be hit really to the back of the head, but I still let them spar, head guard on. People with poor balance, I put all the kit on. Blind people, I think, when I was in Belgium, we had bells. Blind football, they have a bell in the ball. So I thought I'll put bells on their sparring gloves and feet. And we were sparring, just listening, and it's awesome. Again, as long as you're in control of your environment and in charge of what's happening, you'll get good results. Okay, if you're not watching, again, we don't turn sheep into better people. We calm wolves down. Thank you, Hannah. That's just, the visually impaired students also do spam. They know they're excellent. But the main thing is, you know they're safe. It's about pushing them and keeping them going. When Andrew's sparring, the guy that was on my left, he goes on his knees, and I make the other person go on their knees. So to level the playing field. So they're on their knees, and Andrew still puts his hands down and kicks. Okay. So again, it's about adapting, guys. You have to adapt. You have to change and be able to change. And most importantly, accept it. Because the minute you do, well, if you accept positively, then change is the best thing that can happen in your life. Remember, if you think bad, act bad, you'll get bad results. If you think good, act good, eat healthy, etc., you'll get good results. It's that easy. The choice is yours. Again, there's a book on the adapted that Sabum Annabelle from Argentina and Master Izagardi had written along with Leo, Master Leo. So that's going to be available very soon. We're coming up with a lot more literature and ideas, and it's all learning. It's all learning. Alice came over from Belgium to watch, and she learned a lot. I was over in Belgium. I learned a lot. I've had an Ireland is amazing what they're doing, especially with Helen and Master Barry and his team. Their team, what they are doing for additional support needs is awesome. So what we hope to do in the future is to bring that all together, and that's only going to happen through dialogue and us educating each other on that. Okay. Is there any more questions? Is there anything you want to try and understand?
Perhaps I can prompt you with a suggestion. Can we look at just the nature of adapting and talk about some of the things that you can adapt? So I don't know if you use any of the STEP or TREE acronyms or anything along those lines, or just in your own words, what are the things that you might adapt in order to facilitate someone taking part more fully in our Taekwondo?
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. What I've done is I've adapted all my children's games. I use the woggles. When you say line up in a class of kids in the spectrum, it can be a challenge. But if you've got an ADHD student, the best way to empower them is give them slight control. So I put them in charge of the dots. So they put all the dots on the ground, and the kids all go and stand on the dots. Sometimes they don't. But this is where you've got to chill out a bit and relax. Oh my goodness, they're running about. Some kids will come in and walk around the building. So adapt. I use balls for coordination. Okay, and I use those soft ones because again, when we were throwing the harder balls at the pads, I thought, okay, somebody's going to get injured. So think about, you should be doing a risk assessment in your class anyway, a dynamic one. I'm in this new gym. I don't have a ramp. I don't have a disabled toilet. But my chair users still come in and get on with it. Just make sure you're taking a little bit of care and attention around the place. Again, not just for adapted Taekwondo, but you should be doing that for any. I'm just reading Master Vitali's.
I think if we were to get to the gist of that, it might actually lend us towards maybe a final question around you have students who've progressed through various different grades. Maybe is there something that you can say about what does the black belt mean in the adapted sense, or as opposed to any other sense? So when you have your adapted student who's achieved a black belt, what does that symbolize for them?
I think, Adrian, what I'm going to take from the paragraph is about judging. The one thing, two things you need to stop in your life immediately is judgment. You have not walked an inch or a mile in anybody else's shoes to make that judgment about, oh my goodness, this or that. And again, that's creating an opinion. And the minute you don't have an opinion, your life is so much easier. Again, it's great what Grandmaster Vitali's saying, because General Choi did say Taekwondo was for everyone. But that's up to us as instructors as well to make sure that that's adhered to. If we're focusing too much on world championships and elite competitors and winning medal, the medal count is more important than anything else. How many competitors now quit after they've competed or won a medal? You never see them again. I was always taught that Taekwondo is a martial art and it was for life. Grandmaster Lee used to always say, life short, art long. So it symbolizes the same. So again, people can be so focused on, oh, the block's got to be this height, that height. I'm quite happy if my adapted guys are just blocking. I'm getting the best version of them, and that is where they're going to grow and get better. Okay, so again, it's about you and your standards. And again, remember, I said earlier actually with my partner shot, was that remember the older guys have been here and done this before. We aren't dinosaurs as such. We're not extinct. But we've certainly got a knowledge. Okay, but don't forget the martial art, and don't forget that it's for everyone. Everybody can get a little shot of Taekwondo and get a little benefit. So adapt your movements. I don't think Torfinn's on, but we're discussing Torfinn has no leg function, so he's created a hand movement instead. So that's adapting and adjusting. But what we need to do is uniform that over the board, so that if we're going to do patterns, they're all done a certain way. And Helen had a great idea in Ireland where they wear a red stripe and a blue stripe on their hands, and so you can coordinate and help the kid. Right punch, right block, red block, blue block, just by simply mentioning the colour. Okay, the people can cognise better with those type of aids, etc. So yeah, get your. The best thing I ever bought was bubbles and balloons. I was like, what will I do tonight? And the balloons are like 50 pence a packet, but you can put a balloon out and you can do Taekwondo, okay, with the balloon. You can do keepy uppy, you can do lots of different stuff, always adapting. But then I went to a class and I had balloons, and the key worker looked at me and I was like, oh. And she's like, that person doesn't like balloons. And the balloon burst and they were off and running, So it's a big learning curve. But bubbles, the bubble machine, all your gyms are now usually matted, so technically it's quite a safe area for trips and falls. But just keep doing it. Remember, Taekwondo is for everybody. And I always remember Gerard Toy saying that, and I always read it. And I was like, well, I want to make Taekwondo for everyone. And with our gym here, we certainly have that approach. And again, if you think the guy's suitable for and can handle the main class, by all means. Okay, it's not an inclusive class, whereas only inclusive people can come. They can come to any of my classes. I just created this space in this class to give these guys an environment that they're happy with. And some people, especially on the spectrum, don't like noise. They don't even like eye contact sometimes. But you have to learn that. You have to slowly take your time. Don't rush in and force yourself upon these guys. You will get the best out of them. Even if it's just one person looked at me in that class, that's been a result that night, because the night before he might never have looked at me. Okay, it's certainly as the biggest thing is it's rewarding. In my adapted class, I usually have about 10 to 15, just depends. But I also make sure my instructor ratio is quite high. In the younger class that we had earlier, there's usually another two instructors watching, because I've got a young kid who just wanders. So we all take turns about, like we'll just go and redirect back in, or spend some time interacting with them on their own. Okay. If you find they're too low functioning, try a one-to-one. Do one-to-ones for a few weeks and see if that's working, and then say, okay, let's introduce you to everybody else in the class. And then if you think they're doing too well and they're not engaged enough or learning enough, then move them into your busier mainstream classes, etc. Thank you, Grandmaster Vitali. That is, oh my goodness, I'm honoured. You'll not believe
Master
it, guys.
McIlvaney, will just say a huge thank you to you and for the presentation, and hopefully people have gotten some ideas, or maybe you've lifted a little bit of a barrier or fear that people might have experienced in terms of tackling a new challenge for themselves in helping other people to address some challenges that they're facing.
Thanks again for your time, and happy birthday, everybody. And remember, Taekwondo is for everyone. If you need to know any more or want to get involved, engage with me on Facebook, Master McIlvaney. And any other questions, please ask me. And if you're at the European Championships up and coming, come and approach me, and we can have a chat and you can see. Okay? But guys, see you soon.